And what we've seen with our opposition, it's quite insightful this morning that all of you have made submissions on what the opposition should be doing. But the as should be and what we see, it's two different pictures. What we've seen is the main opposition, APC, constantly at loggerheads with the ruling SLPP. The NGC from time to time had been doing even market updates on, cost of items in the market, sort of like putting government on its toes. But everything seems to come down to a point where they've turned the government into Akon, put the blame on me. It's just everyone else putting the blame on government, blame on government. When we have so many other problems, from health to education to the economy, we're not seeing solutions proffered. Could it be because they're playing a petty politics of, if I bring you ideas, it's going to make you succeed, and the people would see no reason to replace your government in an election?
So you have just touched on something very significant there. I look at it in terms of what you might call love for country. It does not matter where you find yourself, whether you are in charge directly or you are in the opposition, you are expected to shape the political will of the people. That is a given. So to starve the nation of the best of ideas because you are in opposition, that does not augur well for development in any country. In the West, take Britain for instance, when the opposition is described, it's described in these words: Her Majesty's loyal opposition, to tell you that whatever they do, it's to work in the best interest of the people. So they provide alternatives, whether it's accepted or not. They're always there. If you now check the party that has gone into opposition after the recent election, if you ask them what their agenda is, even in terms of what the current government has, they will provide theirs as the alternative to tell you that at all times they are ready. Because like somebody just said about the opposition being a government in waiting. That should be a focus that guides you, that provides you with the motivation to say, at any given point in time, say for instance, the health sector, what is my position? It might even be the same with what the current government is doing, or a little bit different from that, but there is always an alternative. What is your position on education, the economy, etc., etc.? We need that kind of thing, and it's not about somebody taking your idea and then getting the glory at the end of the day. People pushing you to the corner to say that is your permanent position. If they know that you have the best of ideas and you are serving in the best interest of the people, people can always bring you on board. Now, the challenge again that we have as a nation is, in other countries, they experiment on coalition, so that even when you are in opposition, you can come with the best of the best of ideas to ensure you augment what is in existence to propel the nation forward. But we don't have that kind of situation. What do we have? The winner is taking everything. But other countries who are experimenting on the issue of bringing different shades of opinion to the table, they benefit from multiple ideas, and their nations are making progress. But when you are on the other side, it's almost like you are an enemy to the state, and the least you expect is let them blunder so that they can see me and bring me on board. But no, that should not be the approach. It should be that everybody, wherever you find yourself, our difference should be on the basis of ideology, not on the basis of, say, we want to see the nation backward because we are not in charge. So the opposition should change its focus, and it should be in the best interest of the people for us to work together even when we are on the other side. And it calls for a change of orientation so that our focus becomes developing Sierra Leone wherever we find ourselves. We opposed a one-party state. So that is not something that we can even entertain. So therefore, multiple views in terms of politics is the order of the day. And we must learn to live with that. Therefore, wherever we find ourselves, we must ensure we contribute to nation building.
Jesmed, it sounds like a very good strategy. As opposition members, set up the ruling government to fail. Because when they fail, it significantly shrinks the possibility of a re-election, giving the people a reason to see them as non-functional or incompetent, ushering away for one of the opposition parties, as earlier said, is government in waiting.
Well, that is the politics of the old days, when NGC is here for the future. We don't practice that type of politics. Even though we still have elements of individuals who takes that line of view, because I don't know if you guys knew about our energy policy summary that we presented about a month or two ago. It was very, very, very widely accepted across the nation. Most people appreciated it, but I still had a few calls within my party that says, no, you're giving these guys too many ideas. But we keep telling them, NGC is not APC or SLPP. Please, let's forget about old politics. We have to be different, not only in terms of outlook, structure, vision, and the way we present ourselves, from the old ways for us to beat them. And I also challenge them that our policies, even if they knew about it before now, and even if they know any of our policies, they will not be able to implement them. Why? Because it requires sacrifice. And that sacrifice from the executive branch to implement the type of policies NGC is putting forward that benefits the people, they will not do it. They will double around it. If we can put it into test. Ask me about any of our policies, I will tell you right now, and they will not do it.
Would love to.
So we're not scared to put our policies across.
Would love to delve into your policies, and hopefully time would permit us to delve into that. But let's come back to the minister briefly. How much support would you say you've gotten from opposition parties, especially in areas of informing policies, in areas of recommendations to solve some of the country's problems? How much support have you had in that area as a ruling government?
Thank you for this conversation. I think it's very healthy for democracy, and I think one of the roles actually of an opposition party is to stimulate public debates and public conversations. One of the things that I think is missing in this equation, I think it's been pointed out by the two gentlemen, is that there is a gaping hole on civics in our country, on the question of civic education, so that you understand that at the end of the day, the country comes first. So if the country is above everything, then the debates we're having, then the ideas we're proposing are about the advancement of the country. So if you understand that country is ahead of everything else, and I can assure you that that's what we're working on right now with the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, is to build a new national civics agenda that is clear, that is distinct, it has a set of values. And number one on those values is the love of our country. And that love is based on a decolonized reconstruction of our history. Because it's very hard for you to be very proud of your country if the country's narrative, now every country has a narrative, most of it is fictional. America tells you they're the greatest nation in the earth, you know, the UK, you go to China, they have a national narrative that's ingrained in the people that says this is who we are, this is what we did, this is why we're here, this is how we came here. It's glaringly lacking in our body politic in our country. It means that sometimes there's a tension between who Mr. Jesmed is and who I am, and why we should be one country and one people. I know that's also the motto of my party. But I think once we get that narrative, you know, we're talking to Professor Joe Edi Ali, for example, who says, if you think about the American War of Independence, you know, it's called the Tea Party. If it was reduced as, oh, there are the Minjos go jump no more for tea, then they will not have this sense of national pride. In Sierra Leone, history tells us that on the 27th of April in 1898 or so, we had a hot tax war. That was our war of independence. But it is presented to us as our people were so primitive that they were fighting to liberate their huts. Even the idea of naming it as hot is to keep us down, to not understand that there's something to be proud of. That a group of our people came together and said, no, the whole idea of taxation without representation is anathema to the very principle of democracy that you bring. They came and they colonized us. They changed. We had kings and queens. They said, no, we can't have kings and queens. You are now chiefs, because there can only be one king and one queen, and that's Queen Victoria. And yet we kept with it. And now we call our people tribal authorities and tribalists. Until and unless we're ready to reclaim that narrative and reconstruct this country and say, yes, we have a democracy. And as I said, it's a contestation of ideas. But I also wanted to say some things about what Mr. Suma said from my brother from NGC. Democracy is also a representation of the people. It's okay to say my views were not taken into consideration, but democracy in its crudest forms says the majority now they carry the vote. So he mentioned PR system. It was passed by a parliament that his party was in. That's democracy. You ask about where do we get ideas from? We get ideas through the democratic process from the opposition.
It is wonderful.
In terms of what we set the threshold, what the idea is, that is why you have a functional democratic system. Even going into parliament, as he says, the idea is if you're a small party, and in this case, his party, as you pointed out, has a coalition, entered into an agreement, that is democracy with the ruling party on the basis of an agreement of ideas. Now, you cannot also in the middle of that process say, oh, we'll not mix again, and therefore now the entire process is bad. His party sat in that parliament that approved the PR system that was used as the basis of our last general elections. Are we okay with the outcome of all of that? Even our party is not. That's why we're having conversations on the constitutional review process. That's why the tripartite process has included recommendations about lowering. That is a platform for us to continue. And democracy, the final thing I would say is, it's not a destination. It is a process. It is a process every day that is messy, that's, you know, you take one step forward and you take another backward. You know, Americans like to say that it is, you know, Obama says it's about the process of making our nation more perfect. It's, you know, it's not that it can be, it's not that it's perfect, but that it can be perfected. No matter how you view the democracy in Sierra Leone, and people can criticize all you like. I studied peace, I studied politics. The fact that 20 years ago we were killing each other, the fact that we did not have the democratic institutions that we had, the fact that we've had 4 democratic elections at which we've had 2 transitions, the fact that after our elections we now have these platforms where we sit and talk with each other, the fact that we host a weekly press conference where the opposition comes and we have heated debate, it means our democracy is in motion and we'll continue to make it perfect. It's important for us to acknowledge that too as a patriotic cause, that we may be imperfect, but we have things going for us.
Minister